right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of MovieByte. This week, we're going to be talking about top movie Joker, directed by Todd Phillips. Join me, your host, Ruben, and with me is Alex. Say hello to the people listening to us, Alex.
Hello, guys and girls. Thank you for joining in. This is our second episode of Movie Bites. I was going to make a joke and asking Ruben to introduce me as a Russian. And, you know,
I mean, we can call you the Russian moving forward if you're okay
moving
with that.
forward. I mean, the same way that Arthur Fleck asks Murphy to introduce him as a Joker.
And just yeah, I gotcha.
I was trying to play it
So
out.
moving forward, he is known as the Russian. Okay, and I'll make sure we put that in social media as well. It doesn't matter; he's off the grid. So
I mean, unless somebody tries to look for me. Hopefully not.
I mean, they already would have knocked on your door if they were looking
Right.
for you.
That's why I hide
All right.
in places.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Like I said, we're going to be discussing today 2019's hit movie Joker, based
Starring
on
Jared
characters.
Leto.
No, that's the wrong Joker. Based on characters of DC Comics, starring Joaquin Phoenix, directed by Todd Phillips, produced by Bradley Cooper, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I can correct this, Martin Scorsese is an executive producer in this movie, I think. But I can verify that really quick.
Yeah, it's gonna hard to do two names for me personally. It's gonna be the score, Hildur.
Hildur, I don't know her name, but very talented. We're going to talk about that throughout the show. But like I said, let's start off. Basically, whoever doesn't know, Joker is based on characters. Like I said, based on character DC Comics, one of Batman's arch nemesis. But this movie, when it was filmed, it's not your typical comic book movie. All right. And a lot of people, when this movie got released, had the expectation of seeing a comic book movie, and it turns out it was totally something different. And it's something that Todd Phillips has stated in multiple interviews, that when he tackled this project, he did not want to make a comic book movie. He wanted to do a character study.
Any way you look at this movie, you cannot. The only little connection between Bruce Wayne, Thomas Wayne, this movie set in Gotham. But as you mentioned, it's not really a comic book story. It's the origin story of the best villain, in my opinion, which comes out of DC Universe, Joker himself, who has been portrayed by many. Silly joke I made before, but that was probably the worst of the Jokers. Heath Ledger, of course, one of the best, if not the best. It's really tough to compare it to, because they're completely different movies, completely different messages. In this one, we're more following how does one person become Joker. Where
and Joker, the Joker character has been, like you said, has been portrayed in many different forms and many different media. Cesar Romero portrayed him in the Batman TV show in the 1960s, and when you see that Joker, it's a comedic one. It's a clown. It's a literal clown, right? Years later, Jack Nicholson had a magnificent performance in Tim Burton's Batman. That Joker is more of a mobster Joker, right? Then you have Mark Hamill voicing the Joker in Batman animated series, falling in line with like closer to Jack Nicholson's like character development, but a little bit more comedic, because it was a cartoon show. You can get away with a little bit more. And then years later, we got Heath Ledger, who gave the performance of that movie was going to be the movie was going to like put him out there already. He was getting there. That movie was his, but unfortunately, things happened and he passed away months after he wrapped up filming. And then Jared Leto portrayed him again in the Suicide Squad. Again, a different Joker, different type of Joker. And then we have 2019's Joker by Joaquin Phoenix. It's a more grounded character. It's more realistic. You can reflect with the character, and you don't see the Joker character until the third act of the movie, because throughout the entire movie you're just seeing
I'm gonna disagree
Arthur
with that
Fleck.
part right off the gate. You see,
Okay.
you see the Joker appearing right in the beginning, and that's one of the things that the more I watched, the more I realized that it's not that Arthur Fleck is becoming a Joker, is that the Joker was there all along, and he's pushing Arthur Fleck out of the picture. And
Okay.
I'll break it down to you later on. But even Todd Phillips admitted that the Joker is always there. Like when in the beginning you see uh, jo- Joaquin Phoenix, you see this. It's always going to be. I always start with a J. Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix betraying the Joker, and he's talking to the psychiatrist. He's all nervous, and his right hand is shaking, and then the left hand is kind of put on it, kind of like calm down.
Yeah.
I got you, and that's the first sign of Joker kind of being there. He every time he writes, Arthur Fleck writes with the right hand, but the Joker, when he handles the gun, he handles it with the left. Um, so
Okay.
that's a
I
little.
never noticed that.
It's a very little certainties, which
Yeah.
at this point, Todd Phillips himself said that on film that is out there. Um, so yes, the Joker fully emerges at the end, but that's the thing that you have to kind of go through on your own to realize when does the Joker actually comes to play? When does Arthur Fleck gives up or surrenders? And one of the things that we don't, even though it's an origin story, even though there's a lot of facts about his uprising, we still don't have the full picture. Like we understand
Yeah.
he's been abused mentally and physically, and he had a really rough childhood, right? But we understand that his mother was once upon a in a Arkham Asylum, and in this movie, like in DC universe, only crazies, only villains, only nemesis to society go to the Arkham Asylum. But here they show Arkham Asylum is just a psychiatric ward. It's not. It's not for
It's a state hospital.
exactly.
It's showing you it's not the asylum that it becomes later on in the Batman era.
Right. Right.
It shows
So
you that it used to be a hospital and it slowly turned into an asylum for the criminally insane.
correct.
Mm.
So we have an idea that he grew up in this institution. I'm assuming that they wouldn't be separating the mother and the child, because he says on the Murphy show, like, I've been the man of this family, of this household for so long.
Yeah.
So it's not far fetched to say that majority of his life growing up he was in that facility, and he's not adapted to the society as we know it, because everything he knows is like being catered to him. He's been fed, he's been nurtured inside of those walls, and that's what we see how he takes care of his mother. That's all he knows, because that's how he's been taken care of through his uprising to adulthood. And another thing, he does not have that mental capacity of the adult. When you see him with Sophie, when you see him with the fantastic actress Zazie Beetz, who portrays Sophie in this movie, he's technically the love interest. He's very childish. He does not know how to behave. When he listens to the comic, he does not know when to laugh appropriately, and in his little notebook he makes the note saying, well, sex is funny, like sexual jokes, but he does not comprehend what that is. He never been with a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it sets us to the part where the Joker was always there, right? And it goes both ways, right? Because people who, especially for the cases which we study for the history of mental abuse, it's a lot of sociopaths. They say, hey, I created this personality who kind of came out in those moments of abuse and defended me, or reflected, right? So the Joker either came to defend Arthur Fleck when he was younger, or Arthur Fleck came afterwards when the medicine and the pills were introduced to him. Because right of the beginning, you see a lot of pills laying around the household. You see him asking for the pills when he talks to psychiatrists. So that's something that is very important to him to sustain his vision, his kind of portrayal of Arthur Fleck, you know.
Gotcha.
So that's to
Okay.
me, that's to me as a beginning of the setup, how Arthur Fleck is when we are introduced to him. Obviously, he has
Yeah.
that condition, which I am not even going to try to pronounce what it's called, but
Yeah.
it's the laughter that uh, the the person
Yeah. The
has.
uncontrollable laughter on, yeah, on any like situation. Like it doesn't necessarily mean.
And I
Um.
love the way it's shown to us when he has that card when he gives to the lady on a train,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like just sets it up. Like you see a character with a lot of problems. Like right off the gate, I mean, any normal human being will sympathize with him. Like, there's, I don't think there's a doubt in my mind when you start watching this movie, you feel sympathy for the character. You feel bad for him, and you want him to be redeemed in one way or another.
Yeah.
But the way that the redemption comes through the storyline, it's maybe not the one that you necessarily wanted as an audience member, but that's the one that Todd Phillips provides for us. And I think that what lies in the secret why this movie was so popular and it made so much money, which to me is mind blowing. I would
Yeah.
never expected something like
Yeah.
this to be a worldwide phenomenon. And
It's a movie that premiered in Cannes Film Festival, and it received a 8-minute standing ovation. And Todd Phillips walked out with like the top award of that festival. I think it was like top movie for that fest. And this was before the movie premiered in theaters. This was like weeks before, so it was already, critics were praising it. So they were already setting up this movie to be big, and it ended up being bigger than it turned out to be. Now, looking at the technical aspects of this movie, like one thing that always captivates me when I'm watching this movie is the music score and the composition of itself. It just drives the story and it drives the character. And the music scored by if she's a
Hildur
from Iceland. Hildur, I can't pronounce her last name.
Gadnadar.
She's
I
from
mean, I don't want to
Iceland.
butcher it. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I don't want to butcher her last name, but Hildur, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce her last name. But she has done, from her most popular work, besides Joker, she composed the score for Chernobyl, the TV show for HBO,
I believe it came
and
before
Sicario.
the filming before that. Obviously, the Sicario was right before the Joker, but I believe they
Mm-hmm.
filmed Chernobyl before the Joker, so she already
Yes,
had.
yes, Chernobyl did premiere before Joker. Yeah,
And another thing that you mentioned the critics, and we mentioned the audience, and we mentioned the box office is till this day it's been a year and a little bit more, and not too many movie critics, not too many film theorists, not too many guys who talk about movies released any new information about it. Right at the
yeah,
beginning, you've seen a lot of people jumping in and they had their own kind of conclusions, they had their own ideas, and everybody threw it out there. And afterwards, it's kind of slowed down. I tried to look on Reddit, I tried to search YouTube, I tried to do everything I can possibly in my research to find out if people are still digging into it, but they don't. They kind of people left it alone. It was a phenomenal. I don't want to say it was a 15 minutes of fame, but it was
mm-hmm.
kind of it blew up and then it just disappeared.
Yeah.
Do you have that feeling too, or am I imagining something?
I think it's
Or does it happen to
yeah,
every movie?
I kind of agree with you. And I think it's something that just happened. I think it's what happens when there's characters from probably a comic book movie. It's a genre that it's saturated. There's so many movies around that genre that it has a hype maybe for a year, and then after a while, like you said, people stop talking on it.
Right.
And it only takes someone to bring something up to bring that movie back to the trending spot, or like something happening to
Are you
the
trying
movie
to
to
say
bring it
that's going
back,
to be
right?
us?
That could be us. That could be us. We're gonna bring back Joker to trending, and it's gonna be the #1 movie on every streaming platform. I'm calling it right now.
Well, since nothing has been released anyway, might as well. It's a
exactly
to look for details.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw it on Saturday night with my wife, and I wrote down notes and details that I could have come across, and I had a conversation with my wife after the movie, and then she shared her point of view, and we discussed the movie. It was fun. I don't know if you ever noticed this. There are 3 clocks in the movie.
11:11.
And they all show the same time, 11:11.
And that's another thing that I believe that 11:11 shows when the Joker is in the room. So
okay.
So the first thing I mentioned to you, like when he kind of grabs his hand, that's the first time 11:11 is introduced. The second time 11:11 is when he's in the hospital, banging his head in the wall, which we clearly know that's a Joker because it's that white room. It's either before the movie or I mean the storyline ends because you don't see his face, you see his kind of like head banging, and then the last time you see the 11:11 clock is when he punches the time clock
for
the time clock.
The punch. Yeah.
Right.
I didn't know, and I'll give you my thoughts about that later on when we get to the topic where I want to bring that up.
Okay.
But throughout the movie,
there are rats. I think there's 3 or 4 times that they actually show those big rats. You have to be very careful to see them.
What's the association with the rats? I've never seen the rats.
Well, I mean, on the beginning, the Murphy is on a TV show. He's like saying, "Hey, listen, they're a big problem in Gotham. Those are the big rats." And the mayor came out to the conclusion that we should introduce like the big cats.
Because they're bringing the news. There's like a big okay.
And you can actually see, I believe it's 3-4 times when these rats in the background, like kind of like around the trash, and they are there. They are seen in a movie throughout the city, so it's not just like. And that's the thing about this specific movie. Todd Phillips just gives you a lot of improvs, a lot of details which you can look at and kind of follow up. There's a countdown. I saw a video. This is not mine, but there's a video if you want to go check it out on YouTube. There's an actual countdown from 10 to 1 throughout the movie itself. I don't know again how realistic it is, if it was intentional or it was just a fluke, but
have you ever noticed how in the movie when the Joker's coming out, Arthur is dancing?
So dancing, it was.
This is one of the notes that I wrote.
Right,
it's like a liberation for him.
Right,
my understanding.
Yes, and the first dance that they do together, and this is Joker and Arthur Fleck, is when he's improvising, when he just got the gun from Randall, and he's improvising how would that be if he would go on the show, and he has like that dialogue. Hey, what's your name? And he says Arthur, and like, you're a good dancer. So it's like the Joker is talking to Arthur. You can say so. I mean, again, this is all speculation. This is nothing written down, and it's not being confirmed. And then he takes the gun, and the way he takes the gun, it's again like the Joker takes it really precisely. He has the control over the gun, and then Arthur is kind of trying to grab onto it, and that's our introduction. And the way and in that scene they shoot the gun, and the gun is actually shot at Murphy. That whole setup, the couch and the chair, it looks exactly mirror image of Murphy's studio, because you got that couch, you got that chair. So in Arthur's mind, he's preparing himself to go out there, although he does not know it's going to happen for him. But that's what sets up that motion in his head, like dancing, how I'm going to be introduced, because the only person who dances on the show is Murphy. So another theory you can discuss here, that that Arthur wants to take his place. The Joker wants to be,
Yeah, and you said Murphy. Is that Murray Franklin is the name of the character that Robert De
Murray.
Niro
Sorry,
plays. Yeah,
sorry,
Murray.
my
Yeah,
bad, my bad. Okay, so Murray
yeah.
Franklin, that's the host, and
Hmm.
that's who in the back of the mind Joker wants to be. Not maybe as a TV host, but somebody who is admired, somebody who's cherished, somebody who is funny,
Yeah,
and that's what sets the trajectory. So there's two different things that Joker and Arthur Fleck is battling. It's who's gonna win, Joker or Arthur Fleck. Another aspect, so many times the suicide aspect plays the role, like him pointing up the gun at himself and improvising the attempt. Okay,
hmm,
so one of them has to go. They both cannot survive. And the
yeah,
second aspect is the Arthur Fleck tries to find who he is, who he belongs, his identity. And that's the first thing I wanted to kind of talk to you about is
okay.
who where do you what do you believe? Where do you stand? So for people who know, obviously Arthur Fleck, his mom Penny Fleck, I allegedly had an affair with Thomas Wayne, who is Bruce Wayne's father, who is Batman's father.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um, she has written a letter to him, but that letter never gets delivered. So what do you where do you stand? Obviously, he talks to Thomas Wayne in that theater, opera, whatever that is,
yeah.
in a
It's like an
bathroom,
opera house. Yeah. Hmm.
and gets punched in the face and being told to stay away from the little Bruce. And
Bruce
it's
Wayne.
not,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not true. Your mother never and I had nothing to do with each other. Okay, and then moving forward at the aspect when he kills his mother, he's putting on the makeup, transitioning to the Joker. He finds the picture of his young mother, and when he
Yeah,
flips
I
it,
noticed that. Yes, I noticed that the other day as I was watching the movie.
over, what was the saying? It says
It
something.
says,
Love your smile,
I love your smile." TW.
TW.
Yeah.
So, and obviously we're gonna have to get the elephant out of the room. The narrator itself is not to be trusted. Too
Yes,
many,
and that's one of my notes. An unreliable narrator. Like
right?
through this entire movie, Arthur Fleck is unreliable. And you start noticing that when you realize that his relationship with Sophie, again played by Zazie Betts, it's fake. It never existed.
Well, the first thing when they introduce his fantasies is when he occurs out of nowhere on a Murray's show. In the beginning, I remember
Yeah,
when him and mom watching, and that's the first
yeah,
time
they're watching
director
the
kind of
show, and yeah,
he takes us into that studio where obviously everybody's cheering for him, and we know it's not real. But that's the only time the director kind of tells you this is not real. This is his fantasy. And then the
yeah,
second time he tells us when we realize that the relationship with Sophie never existed.
yes,
All right. Um,
and then so you're. Uh,
so my
I
question
think
to
the
you.
third time. Yeah, go.
So
So, what's your
my
question?
question first though is let's. What is your opinion? Is Arthur Fleck, Wayne, or adopted?
I think that's where the unreliable narrator comes into play. Because I don't know, like if it's me, I would say based on him finding that photo, Thomas Wayne may have been his father,
Again,
and
may
Thomas
have.
Wayne may have, right, and he might have, a very powerful man, one of the richest men in Gotham, paid off, to have his mother put in Arkham State Hospital. And papers can be forged. You know, when you have money, you can forge papers. And maybe he had her think that she was crazy, and they forge adoption papers to make it look like an adoption. Because
Right.
the last thing that a rich, powerful man wants is a scandal, especially when your name is everywhere in
Especially when
Gotham
you're
City.
running for the mayor. Well, in the future.
Exactly. So, yes, I think part of me could have. I think that Arthur Fleck was related to Thomas Wayne.
You're either his son or you're not. Like you
Yeah.
can't have both ways. You gotta decide, Ruben, right here on the stand. You gotta decide if Joker is Batman's half brother in this universe.
In this universe, I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
I think he is, and that was the thought I had the first time I saw the movie.
And I think that originally, when the script was written and original Todd Phillips's idea, it is true. That's what he wanted to have, that final. You're gonna get the joke. You don't get the joke. So that's the joke.
Yeah.
I think if you strip everything else apart, I think that's what he tells the social worker at the end. And let me just give you the last scene from the original script, which was written or submitted on April 13th of 2012. The hospital doctor, what's so funny? He takes a deep breath. His eyes are glazed over. His voice is scratchy, like he doesn't use it much. Just thinking of this joke. Hospital doctor, do you want to tell it to me? Joker, no. Hospital doctor, because you don't think I'll get it. Joker,
Okay.
because it's personal. It's between me and him. And at the end, he gives her a notebook. She asks him, like, do you still have the notebook? And Joker slides her the journal across to her. She picks it up, flips through the pages. Angle on journal, blank page after blank page. There's nothing inside of it. So that was the original script. Yes, they changed it to the Joker this time saying, "Oh, you would not get the joke," and there's no.
And then you cue the music.
No journal. Yes, so that's life. One more thing about the original, just really quick. You know, I like these scripts, and I like how ideas are brought to from original to what we see on the screen. In the original script, there's a lot more not romance, but there's a lot more dialogue between Sophie and Joker. There's a lot more kind of him being more the nice guy. The scene when he breaks into her apartment, she's actually having sex with somebody else instead of not knowing who he is, what turns out to be in the movie. So to me, it was like Todd Phillips was trying to make this very risky scene. Another thing, there's a introduction of this big old orange cat in a script, and that cat is always in the apartment. He's running here and there, and at the end, when the Joker transitions to Joker and he's about to leave for Murphy's show, he opens the window and tries to let the cat go because the mom is dead. The cat needs to go, and there is no reflection of the cat in the window. There's a reflection of Joker himself looking, and there's no reflection of the cat. So that was one way of Todd Phillips to kind of give you an idea that he imagining things. And the last scene that gives you the same thing from the original script is when he goes to the Murphy show, he leaves the envelope for Sophie saying, "Hey, watch the Murray show tonight." And he also leaves the flowers, like that not the flowers, but you know that stick with flowers.
The one that he was using
with
with
flowers.
Bruce
So
Wayne.
he leaves that out there, and when she gets the envelope, there's no magic stick, so that's kind of disappearing. So again, that's something in his head. So that was the original, I guess, an idea how you can make Joker unreliable narrator. And then obviously they went through different things, and they threw a little bit more things for us as the audience to be like, oh, okay, I see it. This is the same thing they did in the Fight Club. She does not she exists, but she does not exist the way that we see her existing in the universe. So yeah, that was my little rant about how we went from the original script into what we see on the screen. But to answer my own question, I'm with you on this one. Like I there's not enough evidence to go either way.
Yeah.
And that's what, after watching this movie over and over, there's way too many untied ends. There's too many loose ends of this movie where it becomes really hard to have the grasp of what actually is real and what is not. Which was, I guess, the idea of the Todd Phillips, and uh, that's how he wanted us to view it. Um, but yeah,
It's amazing what Todd Phillips managed to do with this movie. Like he comes from a comedy background. You know, his first movie was Road Trip, a comedy, a 2000
good movie,
comedy. A great movie.
good movie.
It launched during the era of teen comedies, right?
Yep,
And we had comedies like "Do Where's My Car," American Pie, Road Trip, right?
super
That's where
bad.
Todd Phillips comes from.
Right.
Super bad, right? Um, Hangover trilogy, Old School. Like you look at Todd Phillips' resume, it's comedy, and to see his name attached to a project with the DC Comics logo on it and with Joaquin Phoenix as your main actor, at first glance you think he's not going to pull it off.
No, I don't think anybody believed in it.
No,
And when you see
like
the first image of Joaquin Phoenix transforming into Joker, I remember that like kind of spinning light on his face into slowly transforming. I did. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is the phenomenal actor. He's one
yeah,
of
he
the
is.
he's one of the best, and I knew he can pull off his role. I just did not know where this role is gonna go and direction is gonna take. But obviously, he won an Oscar for it, and it's a brilliant performance. It's
Finally, finally, he won an Oscar because he's been due.
I mean,
He's been due.
there's a lot of actors who's been doing, and they finally getting the golden
But come on,
statue.
like Joaquin Phoenix, he should have won for Gladiator, and he should have won for
Walk the line, yeah. I mean, Walk the Line is just very good. But let's go back to the
Yes, back. Okay, back to the Joker. Um, there's a lot of things in this movie. The the lines. There's so many lines that he says throughout the movie that just like it's setting you up.
right.
You know.
And
Like one's like
through
one's
those lines again, like you don't know when he actually says them, or he
yeah
just says it in his mind. Because when he tells her, "Hey, this is your journal. I write my jokes in it. I think I told you about it," and she's looking at him and like, "No, you didn't." So, a lot of things that Joker says in his head and plays as a real thing, it never actually leaves vocally, and he never actually says those things. But
yeah.
yes, it's a very interesting take on a portrayal of somebody who is, hey,
Oh,
listen,
absolutely.
you as a society betrayed me, and here's what I'm gonna turn the society into. And I
That
believe
entire third act in the movie is it's just phenomenal. Right? That's that perfectly filmed.
it is very well done. And the the CGI aspect of this movie is groundbreaking. Like they add these little things, they add the heights of the buildings, they add the graffiti on a subway, they manipulate the structure of the street just so
Yep.
it gives you that claustrophobic vibe. Is like you always closed in, you know.
Yep.
It's kind of
And it's a perfect setting for the movie itself.
right. That's the pressure that Arthur Fleck is always on. Through entire movie up until the third act, he's pressured by everybody. I mean, he's being beaten down, he's being assaulted, he fights back, He realizes he does not have no kind of relationship with Sophie. His mom lied to him. He does not know who his father. He does not know what his goal in life is, what his like purpose.
His purpose, yeah.
And that's what leads to him um, instead of taking his own life as he prepared on the Murphy show. Uh, that's when that's when Arthur Fleck surrenders. That's when, or you can say that Arthur, like that's the thing you can't really. I'm always debating either Joker takes over Arthur Fleck and becomes the Joker, or if Arthur Fleck and Joker just merge into one. You know, why
Yeah.
should because from my perspective, the Joker is the one who wants to kill himself. It's not the Arthur Fleck, because Arthur Fleck, he fights for the survival. He keeps going. The life brings him down. He keeps going, but the Joker wants to take the easy way out, and
Yeah.
and therefore, like my original theory, which I guess I should share it at some point, does not does not work. It does not stand. Even though it would have been a perfect movie to me, at least personally, if that would be the truth. And obviously a lot of people have the same idea, same theory, is that Arthur Fleck dies in that refrigerator. He opens that door, he gets inside of it, he closes that door, and that those refrigerators were had a latch on them, and
Yeah.
you could not open the door from the inside. So either he wanted to kill himself, or he accidentally jumped into that refrigerator. But hypothetically speaking, they just for shits and giggles, let's just play that theory out. So
All right. So this is gonna be the Russians' theory on how this movie gets played.
old theory.
We in MovieByte and in Just Chilling Entertainment do not share the same opinion or expressions coming from his mouth. So just beware. Go ahead. Go ahead. Tell the audience your take on what happens in the Joker.
Right. If we can just mix few scenes and change them a little bit, it makes a perfect sense. Just hear me out. So in the beginning, we see this guy who obviously is suicidal, who does not want to live. The the entire world has been bringing him down. His mom uh, had boyfriends who abused him. He grew up in this mental hospital. He has to take care of his mom. He wants to be loved. Uh, he wants to be successful. He wants to be a comic. Nothing goes right for him. So I'm going to fast forward to the scene where he meets his father, or he meets Thomas Wayne in that bathroom, and he gets punched in the nose and says, "Nope, you're not Fleck. You're adopted. You're not Wayne, because I never had sex with your mother. You're nobody. You have no name. That's it." And you see him kind of standing over that sink in a bathroom, and in the next scene you see him standing over the sink, which is a perfectly cut scene, in his kitchen. All right. And that's where he opens the fridge and he closes the door. He gets in, he throws everything out, he gets in, he closes the door. The phone is ringing, okay, before he gets in a refrigerator. When the phone is ringing, the two detectives are talking to him. They leaving the message about, "Hey, we got you. Like, we need to talk to you about these murders." So that's it. Like he does not have a he doesn't have a name. He has no fame. He has no girlfriend, and now he's on the hook for triple murder. So obviously, it's the easy way out. Just claim it. Not easy. Obviously, you're gonna suffocate for a couple of days there. But you climb into that refrigerator, and that's it. When the door closes, and after a few seconds, the ringing stops and the ringing picks up again. The phone keeps ringing, and the scene transitions into the morning. When he gets up from his bed, he goes to pick up the phone. He picks up the phone. It's the Murray people telling him, "Hey, how about you come to the show?" And you see him kind of touching himself, feeling, "Is this real? Am I alive? Or what's happening?" And then instantly you have a lit up cigarette, which I don't know how he. I mean, he's a magician, I guess, but how do you light up the cigarette without lighting up by smoke? So I know, like, you have to put it to the mouth and you have to light it up. But in this scene, he has cigarette already lit up, which is how that's a
Okay.
really cool trick. I mean, first of all, you don't need a lighter, and second of all, you already have a lit up cigarette. So I mean, that's a good trick. Um, Now, after that, in the movie, he goes to the hospital, gets the files, finds out all about the assault, all about being chained to the radiator, all about the abuse, all about his mom being in the hospital. He finds out about all of that, like adoption papers, even though Thomas Wayne already told him that. And that breaks him, and he runs into Sophie's apartment when we realize as an audience that all of the Sophie's relationship was in his head. She's super scared. Great performance by Zazie Beetz. It's like you can see her scared and trying to get this guy out of her apartment. And he's like, "Hey, Arthur, you should not be here. Where's your mother? Hey, it's the wrong apartment. I need you to leave." So he leaves. Obviously, the cello strings are blasting in the background. It's a fantastic scene. He storms into his room, and then he's on a couch, manically laughing, and that's the scene where, technically speaking, if they put that refrigerator scene afterwards, it would make perfect sense, because the next morning all the colors are bright. He no longer has that condition. He does not have a laugh. He now becoming the Joker. You have Randall and you have the little guy coming in to him to talk about stuff. Well, actually, before that happens, he goes and kills his mother. Sorry, kind of fast forwarded there. But he goes to the hospital, tells his mom that I've never been happy a single moment of my life, but I realize now that instead of being in a tragedy, I'm living in a comedy. But from my perspective as an audience member, I'm seeing him imagining all of this from the inside of the refrigerator. And everything else kind of spirals, and him killing Murphy and him becoming the icon, him becoming the Joker, it's all in his head. And then the final scene, to me, that's the joke, that he lived his life completely from the refrigerator up to that scene when he's 50, 60 years old in a mental hospital, and he tells his psychiatrist that this I'm laughing because it's a joke and you would not get it. Does it work? I mean, I don't know, probably not, because first of all, I'm gonna destroy my own theory by just saying a few things. That scene with the refrigerator was never in a script, not in an original, not on a final. It was improvised by Phoenix himself as an idea. What does Arthur Fleck does when he's running out of medicine and he has insomnia, he's depressed, he can't sleep. So what would he do? How would he kind of like cool himself off? That was the scene shot just spontaneously, with just because it was done. Another scene which I described before, when he is leaning on he's leaning in the bathroom over the sink, and then it goes from the bathroom in that theater or opera house into his kitchen. That was just Todd Phillips told himself when they were editing the movie, they found those two scenes and they were like, "Oh, that's gonna be cool," just to kind of put it out there. So that's all it is. They just kind of worked. Um, but yeah, that's one of the theories which could have been worked, but it does not, because there's not enough things to support it. And every other theory you have, it just does not work. Like, it's simply the guy becomes the Joker, kills Murray. His actions make Bruce Wayne's parents being shot in an alley as a thing we've seen so many times before. It just, we see it from a different perspective.
Gotcha. Okay. So the good thing about this movie in particular is that it's one of the many movies out there that has an ending for multiple interpretations. No, we've seen it happen with movies, for example, like Inception, right?
Yep.
There's the theory that Alex just explained, where Arthur Fleck he locks himself in the fridge and a suicide attempt, and his last minutes of his life, he's portraying in his head all the events of the third act, right? There's another theory online that I was on Reddit for a while, is that everything that's happening in the third act is all in Arthur Fleck's mind, and Arthur Fleck through the entire movies in the mental institution.
So
And then there's the other theory that everything that you see in the movie happens, and Arthur Fleck ends up in the institution because of the effect, because of the aftermath of the riots. So there's many ways you can take a look at this movie. One thing that props to the cinematographer Lawrence Shear, because the color palette in this movie just shows you the progression of the Arthur Fleck character. You go from very dull, very gray colors to the third act, like Alex said, bright colors. His suit is brighter. The lighting around him is lighter. Like, he has become this Joker character. He is no longer Arthur Fleck. He is Joker. And it's amazing what you can achieve with a color scheme on film. And some of the greatest films out there are the story drives because how they're filmed, right?
right, I mean, in this particular movie, it's just you go from this darkness, as you mentioned, of the color scheme into brighter tones, and then when he kills Randall in his apartment, it's a sunny day, and the color palette, you see blood, you see the walls, you see his makeup fully engorged, and you see him walking out of that room in a Joker outfit, and then that's, as a viewer, you felt that, you lived that life with him.
Now, one thing, and this is my theory. You notice how the title of the movie is just Joker.
Okay.
It's not the Joker, which is where in DC Comics the character's always been known as the Joker, not Joker, like the title of the movie.
Okay.
And this is where I'm going with this. Arthur Fleck, in this DC universe that movie is set in, he inspires. The riots happen after he murders Murray Franklin on live TV, and everybody starts rioting with Joker mask across the street of Gotham. Arthur Fleck inspires anyone to be the Joker. And there is one particular person out there that lived through that riot and became the Joker that ends up fighting Batman in later years. So maybe Arthur Fleck is not the Joker that we grew up to know and fought against Batman, but he inspires that person to become that criminal mastermind, the Joker.
I mean, that's solid. That's, why not?
I mean, it could be. I mean, because Joker in the comics never has an identity.
Right.
Throughout years in comic books, Joker has had many names, many different identities, many different origins. He was Jack Napier. Before that, in The Killing Joke, he was the Red Hood, a comedian that got dropped in the vat of acid and turned out to be the Joker. Like, so many origins. And even the movies, like Jack Nicholson's Joker was a mobster. Right? Heath Ledger's Joker doesn't have an origin in the movie. He's just a sociopath. No origin, right? And that gives the character that mystery. Jared Leto's Joker, his origin, he's a mobster. He's a psychotic mobster.
Right.
Like, that's my theory. Like, he inspires someone that's watching the news or someone that's already like him to become the Joker that ends up fighting against
Right.
Batman in later years.
Well, I mean, they trying to make the sequel to this, which
Yeah.
what was the
And
budget
if
of this
Joaquin
one?
Phoenix does it,
Yeah, so the budget of this movie was $60 million, and they offering you the one who told me what's the offering rate for the Joker.
last time I read, I don't remember, but they were offering Joaquin Phoenix $50 million to reprise his role as Arthur Fleck
I mean,
/ Joker in a possible sequel.
right? They giving them Robert Downey Jr. rates for the
They're
Iron
giving
Man.
Robert Downey Jr.'s salary right there for
Right.
one movie. And the reason they do this because Joaquin Phoenix doesn't do sequels. He doesn't do multi-year film contracts. He doesn't believe in that. He wants to do one film and move on to the next. And that's the reason why, if nobody knew, Joaquin Phoenix was supposed to be Doctor Strange in the MCU. Right? That was he got offered the role. He was into it. But when Marvel Studio presenting him the contract, and he saw that he had a 6-film contract that he had to complete to get paid.
Right.
That no, I don't do multi-year contracts. I don't do multi-movies. It's not me. Now, Joaquin Phoenix is known throughout his career to be very selective with his movies, and he does a lot of independent films as well. So that's why they're offering him this amount for one single movie, because this is a guy that doesn't do sequels. He doesn't do multi-films. And I honestly don't think that this movie will have a sequel. It doesn't need a sequel.
No, it does not.
It doesn't.
It's a squeezed lemon at this point, and we're still trying to squeeze
it as it is.
Get a little bit more out of it.
Warner Brothers managed to have a Best Picture nominee at the Academy Awards on a comic book movie that nobody expected it to be. The best actor was portraying a comic book character. That was like the first of its case. Heath Ledger won the Oscar for best, but Heath Ledger won it for best supporting actor.
Right.
All right. So Heath Ledger was the first of his kind for best supporting, and Joaquin Phoenix was the first actor to win playing a comic book character. Like, Warner Bros. Should leave this movie as it is. Let it go down.
But the greedy Hollywood, everything they can.
I mean, I know
profit into. Come on, man. It's. I would not be surprised if they.
Look, I'll be fine if they just do another type of character study with someone else portraying the Joker. Have it like I said, like my theory. Have someone get inspired by those events and make
if we look at the DC history, like, they don't have a good movie. Like, the Joker it stands on its own because it's not truly a comic book movie, in a sense. But everything else, except for the original Wonder Woman, which was great, but look what they did. Look what they did afterwards.
That's murder my child.
Right. They butchered that. But let's just kind of closed up on a Joker. We maybe can move forward to something else. But the final thoughts, and we kind of already closing it up. So what in your eyes is the joke? Like, is it that him murdering Bruce Wayne's parents and setting this whole thing in motion? What is it like? It never happened. Like a lot of people think, like, the whole thing never happened, and that's something that maybe the sequel can go off. It's be like, oh, listen, everything you just saw in the first movie, that never happened. That was all in his head. He's still in a mental hospital. So
for me, I think the joke is that Thomas Wayne got what he deserved. And this is where I believe in my head, and when I watched this movie, that he was Thomas Wayne's son, and by Thomas Wayne denying him, and then Thomas Wayne getting shot and killed in that alley, the Joker's like, ha, like, it's like karma's a bitch. Okay, what comes around goes around. Right. You got what you deserve, and that's why he's like laughing, because And then that's why the psychiatrist is like, what's the joke? And you tell me, and he's like, you won't get it because nobody will get it because nobody knows that he is Thomas Wayne's bastard child.
Right. And he has
So
no
for me,
proof of it except for the picture.
Exactly. So that's the joke. Like, I'm laughing because I know the truth, but no one else knows it, and that's funny to me.
And that's a good end. I mean, it's a little bit of character study, a little bit of revenge study, or story.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it's a phenomenal piece of work. That's the only thing that I have is rewatching it. It to me, honestly, and I love this movie, but it starts losing its appeal. There are a few there's things that you can watch and they just get better with time, like a good wine. This one seems to me like more like a beer. You open it, you drink it.
At the same time, you did see the movie like 10 times when it came out.
I've seen it probably like 20, 25 times by now. So.
You even went into your Russian bootleg sites and watched it with like Russian subtitles and bootleg.
Don't tell them that. Nobody needs to know. I'm gonna be bombarded by questions. Give us the sites. Well, there's nothing to watch now, folks. So.
But you did see this movie like 10 times after you saw it in theaters.
True. But I've
only seen this movie probably 3 times.
All right, after the 20th watch, I'm just saying it gets a little bit flat. So if you want to catch up with the count on the Joker views by the Russian, I'm telling you, 10, slow down after 10. That was another so
heart.
If anybody playing that game, every time I say you take a shot, that was your last one right there. You cut from this point on.
Ruben, and to wrap up things, this movie started something for Warner Brothers and DC itself. Like, they want to do more character study movies with similar characters like the Joker. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if later on we see some sort of other movies where they try to do the same thing, like incorporate something more grounded versus something that's already oversaturated.
Well, the new Batman, and I see what you're saying, but the new Batman movie with our boy Pattinson, it's not maybe a character study, but it brings back to like that detective noir which we love,
that's my favorite type of Batman. Batman's my favorite superhero. I can't call him a superhero. Batman's not a superhero. Batman's my favorite
detective,
hero.
Right?
Okay. But Detective Batman is the best Batman in comic book storylines.
Right. And they are on a right path with what they want to do if they do it right. Like, they've proven you don't need to put $300 million and have all these special effects. Pay Zack Snyder another $60 million so he puts 2 extra minutes on HBO Max and we're all going to watch another 3-hour movie of the same movie. I'm just saying, like, of course we're going to watch it, but
it's not the same. Let's not start. That's
okay.
You're going to make me fight you right here.
We're in quarantine, so write the note down that maybe in the future I'll duel you outside of the Best Buy parking lot. But I think DC has so many potential stories that they can come up with. They don't have to stick with this, and I understand what you're saying, but they don't have to just do character studies. They need to find the right people to do the right movies, and they have to steal from MCU. I mean, DC are my boy. I love DC, but they can't just have these blunt, one move fights. Like, present those battles and how you present. Oh, am I?
You got frozen for a second, but
start talking. You see those websites you mentioned. I start talking trash about DC.
You're getting hacked.
Internet gets cut off immediately.
He's getting hacked already.
I'm telling you, do not mention who I am. They'll find me. Although
the Russian. From now on, he's called the Russian. Moving forward, in every single of our podcasts.
And our producer is going to cut off every mention of my name from now on.
He's going to bleep it out.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, just watch the movie. We are looking forward to what obviously the Batman gonna bring to us. Last few movies with Patterson were incredible. He's magnificent in Tenet. Um, yeah,
People out there, give Robert Pattinson a chance. No, he made a bad decision in his career. It was the Twilight movies, but he's done other movies beside that. Okay,
you
he's
see, it's
done
funny
other great movies besides
how
that.
actors they usually like do a good movies first. Get their name out of there, get nominated, and then they go do shitty movies to get paid. He went opposite direction. He got
Yeah,
paid, did shitty
he
movies,
got
and
paid
now
for
he's like
shitty movies.
he's like
Yeah.
redeeming myself. Let me do some of the
Let,
good
yeah,
times
let me
and
take supporting roles to put my name out there.
right. Let me do the Lighthouse.
All
Let me
right,
do things like that.
Lighthouse, Good Times, The King,
Oh,
Tenet. Like he's done great movies. Give my boy Pattinson a chance. He's gonna impress everybody. And he got frozen up again. Look at that. He looks like he's There you go.
yeah.
We got you back.
I'm telling you, it's as soon as you
Yeah. All
mentioned
right. We're gonna wrap it up because I think they're starting to hack you and your internet's gonna go off and you're gonna get frozen. You're probably gonna get
DDoSing.
kidnapped or something. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for
Thank
tuning
you guys
in,
for coming.
listening,
I
watching
hope you
us.
got the joke.
Uh, next week on MovieByte, we will be discussing and talking about one of my favorite Guy Ritchie films, Snatch, starring Jason Statham, Brad Pitt, Benicio del Toro, Dennis Farina, that whole cast. It's an amazing movie. It pretty much put the genre of heist movies back on spotlight with this movie, and we're gonna go deeper into why Snatch has made an impact in movie culture. So again, thank you for tuning in. I am Ruben. With me, The Russian. This episode should be premiering on Thursday. Today's the 11th, so the 14th. So stay tuned to all of your favorite podcast stations. You should be finding there and on YouTube on our subscribe to our channel, MovieByte. Click the little bell that way you can receive notifications whenever it uploads. Leave comments, feedback, any opinion, any suggestions, any movies you would like to us discuss. We'll take any suggestions as well. Soon we'll be making a little poll with different movie options for you guys to pick a movie for us, and we can analyze it and discuss it. So again, thank you so much. This is MovieByte. I hope you have enjoyed today's menu and how we have digested the top hit Joker from 2019. And we'll see you soon. Okay, so everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good night,
Stay
and we'll see
safe.
you next week.